Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. And after playing Luocha for a couple days now, I can confidently say that I am ready to make this video. Now, this character, when we saw him on paper, it just seemed like, okay, he's trying to do a lot of things. If you guys don't know what I mean, let's just list out all the things that Luocha has in his kit. He has single healing, he has cleansing, he has enemy buff removal, he has group healing, he does damage both for his single stab damage in terms of his element as well as AoE damage with his ultimate. So this guy is like a debuffer, cleanser, healer, elemental, shield breaker at this point, right? Like, it's just a lot is going on for him. He scales off of attack while he's a healer, and I'll be honest, I did have my doubts prior to playing him. It just felt like it was a very ambitious character, and yes, in previous Hoiverse titles, when they try to balance a character around multiple stats, multiple roles, oftentimes they kind of fell flat, right? Now, I didn't say Luocha was going to fall flat. I said that his existence in the game is not absolutely necessary for progression as very strong and dedicated DPS per se. You can beat the game right now with one healer being Natasha, so when it comes to a character such as Luocha, he really doesn't scream at pull me, you need me. Now that statement does still stand, but oh my lord, after playing this guy, it really shows me that the team behind Honkai Star Rail is actually designing characters with a lot of thought behind them. So when it comes to his entire kit here, there's a lot going on. Let's talk about some of his major traces and why this guy feels so good to play. So his first major trace is cleansing revival. So this skill basically just cleanses whoever you heal. Now this does activate when he triggers his passive healing, which when a character falls below 50%, he just heals them. Now this does have a cooldown of 2 turns, but get this, he needs to activate either his skill twice or his skill or his ult. So he needs to get 2 stacks to activate his healing field. So this passive triggers counts as 1 stack. So this is very good, and then when it gets to his turn, he uses his skill. And this passive trigger counts as 1 stack and it doesn't consume any skill points. So then you essentially could use no skill points if you just let the passive plus his ultimate activate the healing field. So this is already a very intuitive interaction. They easily could have made it so that this passive healing doesn't give you a stack, right? And they could have also made this consume a skill point. Like I'm just saying, right? There's a lot of ways they could have went about with just this one simple design, but they chose for it to not consume any skill points and contribute to a stack and have exactly the same features as a normal heal would. So it removes debuffs and heals the full amount. Very, very good skill to have, and it's fail safe, right? When characters drop below 50%, boom, it just activates. So love it, love it, love it. Then followed by that, we have his second major trace, which is when any enemy in the field is attacked by an ally, all allies except the attacker restore HP equal to 7% of Luocha's attack. Now do keep in mind, this is scaling off of Luocha. It's not the character who's attacking. So this is why we'll talk about this more in his relic building. I think that you really need to stack attack for this guy. Now, of course, you guys know like, oh, Walrus, no shit. But there are people who are advocating for different sets of relic. But I think right now, there's one set of relic that's just really good for him. And like I said, we'll get to it. Now, on top of that, the single target healing for whoever is attacking is also prevalent in his talent. So your whole team gets healed when the field is up. This field basically makes it so it's very difficult to die on top of his passive healing. Now, yes, you could still die if you get one shot, but having everything here that just synergizes together is like one single role. It's just healing. That's pretty much what we just talked about. It's his healing. He does AoE healing, he does single healing, he has dedicated cleansing in his kit. Now, this alone would make him a very comfortable character to play. And then we have to talk about his ultimate, which removes 1 buff from all enemies. So it's an AoE ultimate that hits everybody and it removes 1 buff. So I mean, how many buffs do enemies usually have at the time? Usually it's just bosses with 1 very annoying buff. Either is like they have a damage up, or in the case of like the Jeopard, he has his shield on, like boom, it's just gone. I cannot stress enough how we will come to love this particular ability far into the future of the game. I don't know who else is going to come out with this ability. Maybe in the future there's utility creep, and let's say another character comes out with this same feature, removing buffs from enemies, but in, let's say, a skill or something like that. It could happen, but as of now, this is incredibly valuable. So moving into the relics here, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I tried a different combination, and it's much easier for me actually, because all of mine are at +0. So you guys might be like, Walrus, what are you talking about? It's all +0. But yeah, that actually makes it much easier to compare to other sets that are also at +0. Ignore the fact that I don't have a full gold set. Times are tough right now. However, this particular set really aids into his entire kit. Everything about him skills off of attack, his healing, his damage, right? So as long as you can get to a point where Luocha is healing for like 1800, 2000 per skill point, that's going to be pretty much good. He's going to be healing more than what most enemies are capable of dishing out, because it's important to hit this threshold due to the fact that if the enemies are hitting you for 1800 and you're healing for 1500, you're always at a net negative in terms of healing. And yes, you're going to have multiple ways to heal. However, it will never be able to keep up with the onslaught of enemies. On top of, let's say, multiple enemies move in a row attacking a single character, it's going to be difficult still to keep them alive. So finding that net heal positive is going to make it so that your team is essentially immortal. And unfortunately, you won't be able to achieve everything his kit is set out to get done if you don't run an attack focused set. So let's say if you were to run Wandering Cloud, yes, you're gonna be healing more, so you get that dealt with. And yeah, the 4-piece, amazing, right? You get the 1 skill point, but at the end of the day, this contributes no additional attack stats. So then people say, well, why don't you run half and half? So outgoing healing plus 10%, and we also have the 12% attack from the Musketeer set, which is fine. I think this is what most people are going to default to right now because they have other priorities when it comes to relic grinding. But if you happen to have the luxury of playing a 4-piece Musketeer set, this is going to actually contribute to him adding more to the fight. You guys talk about basic attack 10%, 6% speed. That doesn't sound like anything really worthwhile, but know that Luocha actually auto attacks enemies quite a lot throughout the fight. He is mostly healing passively. His field is doing the vast majority of work, and on top of that, even if you're in a situation where you're actively having to use your skill point to heal your teammates, what does that even mean? That means you are receiving far more damage than you're comfortable with, right? If you're using your active skill, means that you already use your passive heal, and on top of that, you need to spend a skill point to heal another ally who also took damage. So those are situations where you probably took AoE damage. And if you're not leveraging Luocha's second major trace through his attack scaling to heal back as much as possible. So as long as your team moves, it doesn't matter who moves, as long as your team can move, you're able to leverage this. And do keep in mind, Luocha's healing field, it seems like, ends when it returns back to his turn in 2 turns. So in the case of characters like Seele, in case of characters who have speed or can skip the line or have mechanics that helps them skip the line, they can take advantage of the fact that this healing field is still up and it scales off of Luocha's attacks. So every time you hit, bam, 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 you can heal your whole team back to full very easily. Okay, so this is why I think overall, running the 4-piece Musketeer set is going to be the end goal as of now. Now, is this set perfect for him? No, it's not. But I think overall right now, this is one of, if not the best option from what I have just tried around. Okay, now finally, if you watch all the way till this point of the video, I just want to showcase something on screen for you guys. Now, this is by no means impressive. Like, the levels of the enemies and the levels of my characters are like the same. However, Clara is severely underinvested, as well as is Luocha. But I just want to highlight something for you guys when it comes to the synergies of destruction characters and Luocha. Now, yes, a lot of people who are pulling Luocha are going to eventually pull Blade, but just giving you guys a glimpse of what is capable. Now, I do believe that as long as the enemies are weak to physical, this combination could be taken all the way throughout the entirety of Memory of Chaos. This is by no stretch of the imagination absolutely broken. Like, there is no real threat here that Clara is ever going to fall. The taunt from her ultimate, plus the healing from Luocha, the removal of debuffs and also the removal of enemy buffs, and plus the counter synergizing so damn perfectly with his flower field. Yes, you heard that right. Every single time Clara counters with Svarog, as long as the field is on, it heals everyone on your team. So if there's like 3-4 enemies that all hit Clara and she counters 3-4 times, your team is getting healed 3-4 times. It's like a second healer almost. I don't know how to explain this kind of synergy. Is it broken? Yes, in the right scenarios. So let's say if the enemies are not weak to physical, now you're not in any dangers of dying per se. As you guys can see, HP do fall here and there, but it really takes no more than 1 or 2 skills and a couple auto attacks from Svarog to heal everything back up. It's just such, excuse my language, like a brain dead synergy. It is so damn straightforward, so easy. Now you can plug any other 2 characters in here if you want to bring more nihility, if you want to bring more damage, if you want to bring like an attack buffer, maybe a Tingyun for Mr. Svarog, or I don't know what you want to do. But look at this, how low do they fall in this fight? But it's like it doesn't even matter. Boom, bam, pow, they're practically back to full health again. It's wild how good this combo is. Now, I don't want to upsell something like this and tell people like, oh, now you have to pull for Clara. No, you don't. But just understand that synergies like this currently exist in the game now, and Luocha makes it possible to run essentially a 2-unit clear. So do with this information what you will. That's all I gotta say for this video, but until the next one, I urge you to stay safe. Peace, bye bye.